Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome, welcome, welcome to another phenomenon known to mankind, a Saturday afternoon's main event. It's 3 o'clock, it's Saturday, you know what time it is, and for me, after the week of professional wrestling that we got, after the abysmal showings of weekly tapings, after the premiere of one WWE Unreal, and further reports coming out about WrestleMania next year, in the words of one Charles Montgomery Punk, I have a lot of things to get off my chest. But before we could go ahead and get all to that, if you do not know who I am, whether you are dumb, stupid, blind, or just plain irrelevant, I suggest you go back to school or go into your local library, get the biggest dictionary you can find, preferably Merriam-Webster, and look me up under the word phenomenal. Guys, it is not a phenomenal, and of course here on Saturday afternoon's main event, I'm not alone because unfortunately I'm joined by my co-host, comrade, dude from another mother and dimension, one and only limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, who is not having a hard time holding his alligators down. So guys, without further ado, give me 2 claps and a peep stage.
Woo! Yes, back again, once again, another busy wrestling weekend, another big weekend for a lot of things. AEW's got their own pay-per-view on Sunday. We got lots to talk about. So without further ado, let's get to those 3 tenets that get you prepared for such a busy wrestling weekend. And that is, of course, laughs, good times, and all the wrestling news possible.
You made it short and sweet. Why, thank you, Peeps Nation. You're back on. Perfect. Again, you still haven't texted me to let me know when you will be off next time around, but it's okay. I appreciate you for at least being here. But in all duality, guys, we are joined by our other co-host, and I always tell you individuals this, whether you're having a bad Saturday afternoon and you need some spice in your life, all you got to do is one thing and one thing only. Go into your mobile phone app, go to the keypad, and dial the numbers 411. Guys, of course, once more, our other co-host, host of Morton's Law, the one and only Mr. 411.
Nate, you can shove those 310 straight up your ass. By the way, you say that holding his Crocs down. Holding his alligators. He can't even afford Crocs.
Oh Lord!
Come on now. Come on, Nate.
Jeez, Mr. 411.
Yeah, you got heat, Nate. You got heat.
He's been had heat.
Well, welcome to Saturday afternoon's main event, the Herb Abrams coked out edition.
Good grief.
It is genuinely one of those Saturdays, and I'm genuinely taking heed into what Mr. 411 will be saying today. But again, like I said, it is one of those shows where we have a lot to get off our chest, a lot to go ahead and discuss, and we're glad to go ahead and have each and every single one of you watching on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. We thank you guys. If you want to go ahead and keep up with us on Saturday afternoon's main event, all you got to do is one thing and one thing only. Follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram being at Saturday afternoons _ main event, Twitter being at Saturday Main, and our TikTok being at Saturday Afternoons ME. Thank you, Mr. Vanna White, for going ahead and pointing out these social media platforms. But without further ado, I think it's only fair that we get into today's stuff. And that starts when you hear this sound, meaning it's time for one thing and one thing only. It's time for 3-Row Talk, all of the professional wrestling news that we can possibly get to that consists within the span of the squared circle. Now, look, we start off today with our review of one Saturday night's main event. A show hailing from New York City's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. A show that didn't go ahead and pull in 18,000 people, instead pulled in 12, which is something that we will get into later today on the show. But beyond all, what kind of show did we get? One that didn't end with a main event match, but more of a main event segment. One that was consisted around the world champion New York Knicks, with one Carl Anthony Towns making his debut within the WWE ring, helping Danhausen to destroy the likes of one big-headed JD McDonough and the bastard child Dominic Mysterio. Yes, I'm not talking about Pac. But within the other sense, Jalen Brunson ends the show hailing tall with one Roman Reigns, who was interrupted by Seth Rollins and Tyrese Halliburton, in which, truth be told, I was waiting for Jalen Brunson to spear the holy hell out of Tyrese, but understandably so, as a Knicks fan, he has an injured wrist, he hasn't healed yet, so it's only understandable and it's only fair. But the one thing I want to get to when it comes down to this review is Bayley. We saw the match against Lyra Valkyria. It was a great match, to say the least, but it seems like more so than anything else, Bayley has been written off completely, which leads to the thoughts and the rumors from everybody within the IWC, everybody online, and every fan or so within professional wrestling, thinking that this was Bayley's last hurrah in the WWE. Peeps Nate, we'll start with you. What do you think about that?
Well, it also plays into the social media post from just a couple of, I think it was almost a month ago, of a match that was booked for Wrestle Dream through social media between Bayley and Mercedes Moné, which was liked by Mercedes online. So those rumors kind of started up then. And also the fact that Bayley, for the most part, since last year's WrestleMania, has really been downtrodden as far as the push that she's had and the visibility of whatever matches and feuds that she's been trying to kind of facilitate in the ring. So if she is on her way out, then the best way to do that is to put the other talent over. And it looks like that's what they're probably doing with Lyra Valkyria. I think that she has definitely done a great job. Bayley's been in WWE now, a decade at least. She's had great matches. She's been in main events. She's done certain things. But now what happens here? Is it just her taking a break, or is she really on her way out? That's speculation that I think we'll figure out as time goes on.
Okay. Well, from there, we also have the tag team match that took place between the WWE champion CM Punk tagging with Cody Rhodes, going up against Gunther and Sami Zayn. And of course, we know that the stipulation was that if Gunther and Zayn were to win, they would be added to the world title match at SummerSlam. Of course, that wasn't the case. Nick Aldis would interfere in the match, as I suspected he would. Give me my grace and my pats on the back, Peep Stage. But within that, we also got an ending as to where CM Punk was getting his hand raised by none other than the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, to which Punk gladly took it, and after that, put the strap over his back, which suddenly hit Cody Rhodes in the eye, and seemingly was supposed to be an accident. Cody Rhodes then took towards after the show to address Punk, in which they kind of had some kind of work, shoot kind of related interaction behind the scenes in the backstage area of MSG, and it played into later this week on SmackDown. But beyond all, I'll go to Mr. 411. What did you think about the tag team match, and what do you think about the place where this storyline is at currently?
First of all, you never asked me about Bayley and the fact that Big Booty Bayley always has a place on my lap. So, I mean, that's where she could be appearing in the future if she would so choose.
You perverted son of a... You know what? I digress. Write that down, peeps!
Okay. So, in terms of this finish, I mean, look, there's a lot to talk more about these two on SmackDown. So, I'll just go to the finish itself. I was not too surprised by it. I mean, I know there was a lot of speculation. Could they do a four-way SummerSlam? And people talked about that and such, and it didn't happen. So, regarding I want to hold off on what I'm going to say about these two because I have a lot in the SmackDown segment. So I'll just leave it at that right now.
Okay. Well, of course, Saturday night's main event didn't have much more else for you to go ahead and look forward to. A very stacked up show to speak about other outside interactions than speak about the inside interactions. Of course, so much taking place on that Saturday. You had a World Cup final taking place. You had Fanatics Fest going down in New York City. So everybody was every which way. Professional wrestling was most probably the last thing on everyone's mind. which is why I think this show was much more of a placeholder than anything else to build towards SummerSlam.
Oh, by the way, you know what's frustrating is now, again, everything with a grain of salt, right? Internet reports, is that you hear that apparently higher ups in WWE were not happy with Brunson and Kat and what they said were overshadowing the wrestling on the show, which is insane because a lot of people online brought up, well, Jelly Roll, McAfee, and all these other outsiders that come in and you can say overshadow the wrestling. I mean, come on. First of all, I love Kat's appearance was tremendous. Granted, he got help with the choke slam, but he looked good doing it. He really did look good.
You know what? I haven't seen a choke slam go that well since Undertaker choke slam Brock Lesnar. The height and the elevation that he got on those two gentlemen was perfect. Again, even though he needed help. But hey, Kat played his part tremendously well, I have to say. Brunson was just getting acclimated, okay? The man got acknowledged. Everything else, okay, I have to say, most in part, coming from Roman Reigns, it seemed like it was a glaze fest. But I guess we have seen a lot of glazing taking place in the WWE for the last couple of months. So this probably wasn't new to anyone. But in all duality, again, it was such a way to go ahead and end the show that I was just like, this is how you end a Saturday night's main event. You know, I thought you probably would have ended with wrestling, to say the least. But I get it. The tribal chief does what the F he wants. He gets the last part of the show alongside Jalen Brunson. Fair to say the least. No problem.
I know Halliburton is also recovering from a severe injury in which he's going to play this upcoming season. But the way this segment went down, it made him look bad because he couldn't get into the ring to do anything to help. So he's just standing there watching his guy get destroyed and can't do anything. So there's where it kind of lost a little bit for me.
It did. Because genuinely, I think the goal was maybe if, Brunson wasn't injured, you probably would have gotten a more better face-off, maybe a couple gimmicked hits. But then again, we didn't get much into that. So maybe down the line somewhere, we know that these two will still be invested with into the WWE because we know that they're fans. So maybe one time around, maybe within the next year after the end of the season, this happens. But until then, we can spare that. When it comes down to Saturday night's main event, we leave that here and we go straight into our Raw and SmackDown review. And gentlemen, abysmal two shows this past week. Abysmal, to say the least. Raw was unwatchable. I'm sorry. Other than the segment of the Judgment Day going ahead and taking human monies from Danhausen to realize that it wasn't real money to the point where JD had to shove the bag away to not realize that.
Uh-oh. Hey, Nate, did you just kick Phenomenal One out the show for what he's been saying about you?
I think he just dropped out, so hopefully that'll go in there. But yeah, okay. I think we can reiterate on basically the point he was trying to make, which was Raw was not that good.
No, how about this? Take this opportunity to talk about LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and something that it has been on your mind.
Yes, I thought looking at LA Knight and what they've been trying to do to help build this six-man tag for SummerSlam. The thing that the basic problem that I have is that LA Knight has, over the last 2 years, organically built himself up in such a way that he is kind of like, in the DDP role from back in WCW days, where he's built himself up to be the people's champ. Mm-hmm. The problem is the WWE, for whatever reason, whether he rubs somebody the wrong way or they just don't see him long term over the other people that are there, they don't know what to do to build him and give him the opportunities. He's had really one main event shot, and that was the title match that he had with Roman Reigns a couple of years ago. And that's about it. Nothing since. He's had a U.S. title run, and that's been all that's been there. Solo, on the other hand, they're trying to figure out what are they going to do with him, because the MFTs are now dispersed. He's no longer there. They're trying to kind of implement the storyline of another aspect, another chapter of the bloodline. And Solo, is he a face? Is he a tweener? Is he going in as somebody that's a lone wolf, so to speak? What is he doing? And they've basically taken both of them and thrown them into some weird Twilight Zone storyline that is kind of dying on the vine. because in that sense, they've also neutered Jacob Fatu and kneecapped him as his impact on the storyline has really diminished over the last couple of weeks.
Man, all these reasons not to watch the show. You turn it on and you want to root for people. You want to see your heroes, and then your heroes are repeatedly beaten or left, as you said, in limbo, not knowing what could happen next. And I mean, the LA Knight, look, in that moment, was he going to beat Roman Reigns? No. We know nobody was going to beat Roman Reigns because he was chasing a streak, right? He was chasing those numbers for longest reign champion. We knew Sammy wasn't going to beat Roman. In those moments, you could have pulled the trigger on both guys winning the title. It would have worked. But they had a story to tell, right? Oh, look who's back.
Yes.
It perceives to seem that lightning struck right in front of my building. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what kind of good graces you're calling in, peeps, but you can't kill off the phenomenal one, okay?
Yeah, Nate's just trying to. He wants to do the show by himself next week.
Oh, Lord.
You know, you can pray to whatever redeemer you got, peeps. You can't kill me off, all right? You can't. But, gentlemen, you can continue talking about what it is that you guys were talking about. I'll go ahead and carry through.
Yeah, just in terms of LA Knight and Solo Sikoa, it's to the point right now where you can't care about this man. They have completely ruined anything or credibility he may have with the fan base, whether he's a face or a heel. And that's one of the biggest problems too on Raw. Who are we rooting for here? The Usos act like heels. Solo acts like a heel. Then LA Knight, who's a babyface, is now trying to team with Solo. This whole thing is a circus, and it's so bad.
Yes.
It is as bad as it gets right now trying to watch this show. And look, we're going to talk about creative later on. We got a story about Nick Khan and Triple H. And I mean, something has to change because these numbers keep dropping. We know about that. So we can move along. I know, Phenomenal One, you had a thought before lightning struck. So go ahead.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if it went ahead and removed the thoughts that I had, but if any of you two remember what it was that I was specifically going ahead and bringing up, I believe it was most likely just the way that the shows were trailing in the sense of Obafemi and JD getting a match. Yeah. Other than that segment, I felt that it was much more hard to go ahead and watch the show within, even having the main event. If anything that I can speak positively about when it comes down to Monday Night Raw, it was at least making LA Knight look good in terms of trying to still set him up for I would say maybe a main event push, even though this man has been needing this push and has deserved it for more so over the last 3 years. And he still has yet to have it. I feel like now it's just like they're playing with LA Knight more than going ahead and setting him up for a position where he can actually evolve more. You stick him with Royce Keys and Solo Sikoa as if this is supposed to be end all be all. This is Monday Night Raw we're talking about. We're 2 weeks away from SummerSlam, and you're telling me you're using the main event to highlight a 6-man tag team match that is probably going to be the first match of night one. What are we doing? What is it that we're trying to go ahead and see become the end result? You couldn't use this end segment to continue to catapult whatever Seth and Roman is doing, because if anything, I don't know if it's just me, gentlemen, as far as I'm concerned, that match has been lacking storyline build.
Everything. What isn't
everything? Okay, so that's just me. Oba and Brock Hell in a Cell. The minute they made that announcement, I was psyched to see where they would go. Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar into SummerSlam got more of a better build than Oba and Brock right now. I should be seeing hellacious brawls backstage. I should be seeing more of a sense of Oba carrying through the stain and hurt and anger for Brock Lesnar, or Brock Lesnar showing up wanting to beat the holy hell out of Oba. If you're going to build for Hell in a Cell and you're saying that this is the end-all be-all of a feud, why not show it? Instead, we're getting 6-man tag match capabilities. What are we doing?
Yo, you said we talk about Jacob Fatu being neutered. It seems like the whole roster has been neutered. It's crazy.
Indeed. Yeah. And you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all, Mr. 401, at all. Because it's like, where is the focus when it pertains to every single person on the roster that you so claim is good. When in reality, look at it this way. Liv Morgan is still booked the same way heading into SummerSlam against Io Sky. You have no end-all be-all when it comes down to the elevation of the Judgment Day, in which we thought that Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez would be getting more of a highlight on them being with their relationship with Liv Morgan as of now. Dominic Mysterio's your Triple A Mega Champion. Where is he going? Instead of being JD's lackey.
There's so many guys that are just on the proverbial shelf right now. Guys are just sitting there like, well, when am I going to do anything?
Exactly.
And the Liv Morgan part is even more concerning in the fact that the story was really supposed to be Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer. But because Stephanie's hurt, it's almost as if they gave up on doing anything to progress her in anything interesting outside of the bickering within the Judgment Day. Now, they could have made something really, really good out of that storyline within the Judgment Day, and they're going another route. Now, instead of, well, maybe Roxanne Perez, who is now the up-and-comer, maybe she usurps her at some point and she takes over the Judgment Day. Liv gets jumped out. She decides to leave. Maybe you would have her and Dominic on their own. We don't need the Judgment Day. They can have it, etc., etc. Instead of something like that, they have her cursed. And that's going to be the main issue with what's happening, not only with the Judgment Day, but also with Liv's title run, which may particularly end at SummerSlam because she was cursed. Make that make sense.
Yo, don't be surprised if Danhausen beats Roman Reigns.
Xavier Martinez is on YouTube. Shout out to him. He says this: I love how people on the net tried to tell me that it was good for Oba to go into a feud with Lesnar instead of just challenging for the title after and pulling the trigger.
Right.
And they still have yet to explain that in full instead of just giving us the lousy, I know that if Brock was going to go, Brock would have went ahead and cost me the title, even if I were to go ahead and go into the match. So you just had the man relinquish the opportunity? So when is he going to get it?
That makes Oba look even weaker.
Exactly.
That makes Oba look weaker in the sense that if he is this dominant, why would it matter if anyone else was going to interfere if he's getting the title match? Because he should have smoked whoever was there. So
not just
that explanation made no sense.
I made the notion that this man could have done double duty at SummerSlam. You had Cody wrestle 2 nights at WrestleMania alongside Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins, who had a broken freaking knee, wrestled night 1 of WrestleMania 40, then started off the show on night 2 in a world title match. What are we talking about here when it pertains to not wanting Oba do double duty? And if you're saying that he's the ruler, this man can go up against freaking anybody. So what's to it if he does?
You're forgetting, phenomenal one. You're forgetting one important part. The color of his skin can only he can only be pushed so far.
You know, I never.
I didn't take a sip.
I never expected Mr. 401 to turn into the modern day Ryan Clark, but I love your activism. I can vouch for that. Yes, WWE are freaking racist. I said it. Now,
you're not wrong. It's crazy that you could just throw that out there, right? If you look at the history of it, you can actually have this conversation and no one could go, oh no, that's insane. Why would you say such a thing? What? Look at the history.
You know, wasn't it just a couple of weeks ago on Saturday Night's main event that the Street Profits won the tag team titles just to lose it because they wanted to put a white woman with the vision? Right. What are we doing? Right. And it had to be a white woman to cost the black men the match? I know you're not telling me they're not freaking racist. They're racist. End the story. Okay. Again, I digress. Pips, write it down. But
okay. Are we switching gears to SmackDown so I can have my fun?
Yes. Mr. 401, you can go ahead and start this off.
Oh my God, do I have a lot to say. So again, listen,
man.
You know, Cody comes out, right? And once again, aside from the sing-along, where is the reaction? I literally stopped what I was watching and paused it for a moment and went back 10 seconds just so I could hear the music stop. When the music stops, what kind of reaction is Cody Rhodes getting? And there's a smattering of Cody chants, a little bit of applause. But again, each city, you're hearing less and less of reaction to him once the song stops. It wasn't good. And, they do this. I don't know what they're, again, this is similar to Roman and Seth in terms of why they're fighting each other. It's so bizarre. I need something better. Didn't you guys leave last night's segment going, what? This is what you're giving me? Can it be better?
The way that it even ended pissed me off a bit. I don't know if it was just me. The beginning, I felt like we were going to be on a collision course when the beginning occurred, because it was Cody knocking down the microphone, saying that it was an accident, just for Punk to be like, are you bullshitting me? Are you serious? And he had to go ahead and go get a mic from, the people working, like around the ring, instead of wanting to take it from him, because he feels as if Cody's going to turn on him. There was a story to go ahead and tell within this promo battle. And instead, what did we end with? We ended with, I'm the best in this ring, on this microphone. Nobody can touch me, even Dusty's kid. We're in 2020 fucking 6. Right. Why is it that I'm still fucking hearing about Dusty fucking Rhodes? He's been dead for 11 years. We told this story 3 years ago. It's over. Done with. Zero. Zilch.
They got nothing.
Get it out of here.
Yeah, they got nothing. They got nothing creative to come up with. It's crazy. So I'll just move on and say that based on the reaction we're getting, Cody has to turn during this match at SummerSlam. He has to turn, and he has to win. And he has to go full heel. Full heel Cody Rhodes with the championship. And here's what has to happen. Punk has to get taken out. A hospitalization angle. They have to do it. Where Punk misses extended time, Cody's champ. He beats anybody that's in his way, right? And we build this to the rematch at WrestleMania where Punk beats Cody. This has to happen this way. Any other way, listen, when we talk about the attendance dropping, right? The attendance is dropping. The reaction or the lack of reaction. Why is Cody still a baby face? It has to end. It has to end.
It has to. It has to. Mr. 411, you're right on the marker with it. I feel that, especially at this current point in time, if you don't book Cody in the sense that he is going to be a heel, you're just going to get less and less more people watching SmackDown. What are we trying to do here? Especially coming off of what we got with WWE Unreal, which I want to add into, because Cody was sitting there talking about his match against Randy Orton at WrestleMania this past year, and he was saying how, I wanted people to boo me because I wanted them to see that I had the heel capabilities of beating Randy Orton because of what he did to me leading into the match at WrestleMania. And I'm like, so you're telling me you wanted to go full heel at WrestleMania, knowing that the company pinned you against Pat McAfee and Randy Orton, making you look like the babyface the whole time, just so you can wrestle as a heel. It's bullshit. It's freaking bullshit. How stupid are you thinking I am? Listen. I'm above the mindset that right now, he needs this heel run more than ever because he knows that he's losing flat as time progresses on. The more that Cody Rhodes goes on my television screen, the less I want to watch of Cody freaking Rhodes. SummerSlam is the point. That match and that main event is the time. If they don't pull the trigger now, WWE's in deep shit for a couple of months.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's going to just only lead to more of a decline. I'm sorry, Nate. It's going to lead to more of a decline in everything across the board. If I was sitting in a meeting with Nick Khan and Triple H right now, I would ask, why are we not turning him heel? Give me one reason. There's no more reasons. All right, Nate, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's the one thing that we can also say, even Cody's father turned heel at some point to make it apparently clear that he needs to do it. Now, that's not to say that Cody isn't a good heel. We saw what he did in New Japan. We saw what he did in Ring of Honor. So we know that he can be a great heel. He's got the edge. He can cut the promo. The issue is, and this is what I personally think, I think that TKO is deathly afraid of turning him heel based on what they think is going to happen merchandise-wise. This is the same reasoning that happened with John Cena. It's the same logical mindset where John Cena talked about years ago that he would have loved to have turned heel as early as I believe it was 2008, and Vince told him no, because you got T-shirts to sell, you got merchandising. How would that deal with the kid?
No,
and,
but Nate, not to cut you. I'm sorry to cut you off here.
Mhm.
Cody Rhodes' popularity has
It's
never
not
been John
It's
Cena
not.
level
It's
ever.
not.
That is
It's
true.
not. And for me, this is coming from me, the individual who saw John Cena's run through and through as a babyface. I was one of those kids buying John Cena merchandising, getting John Cena merchandising. In all duality, with all due respect to Cody Rhodes, he is and will never be John Cena.
Never.
The only reason he's this big of a babyface is because Roman was tearing it up as a heel for those 2 years that he was. Okay? That's the only reason kids found a way to gravitate towards Cody Rhodes. But now, it's like, even with him as champion, the kids see through his bullshit.
Oh, by the way, where does he rank in the merch? Give me what you guys have a latest merch ranking. Like, I know Danhausen's number one still. Right?
Danhausen's one.
Yes.
Right.
I know that Cody is. I think that Cody is 3 or 4. Because
Right, I imagine LA Knight is up there. Punk is up there.
Roman is at 3.
Right.
Punk is at 2. And then you got Cody at 4.
And then you also got Roman Reigns. I'm pretty sure the OTC stuff is selling out there as well.
Of course.
So yeah, Cody right now is in a precarious position right now, where he's either going to drown in his own fandom, or he's going to reinvent himself and get over again. Because when he does turn heel and has that great heel run,
Right.
it will make it even better when he turns face again. And I think that's kind of forest for the trees mindset. At some point, it's got to happen. We had thought that this was going to be something that happened last year, and it didn't. So I think right now, this is where it should gear up towards. Cody turning heel, turning on the fans, maybe telling the fans to stick it, and then he's got a laundry list of things to say on camera that will make his heel turn logically make sense. The fans, I've been the face of the company all this time. I'm doing all of these functions. Everybody that I team with turns their back on me. He has a million different angles to come up with that would make that turn make sense.
And because now, and it's funny because I have to agree with Peep Sage at this current point in time that, what you're saying is genuinely true. But in all duality, again, another thing to Mr. 401's point, it can even make more sense now why he would want to include the fans within those promos, because the fans are genuinely showing reaction that they don't care about him.
Don't care.
So in all duality, he has a reason to even bring the fans into this. So I don't want to hear any other excuse as to why SummerSlam comes and Cody doesn't turn. It has to happen now. End of story. Point blank, period. But that is our Raw and SmackDown review.
Oh wait, I got more.
Oh Lord.
No, real quick. Let me just go on a little tangent right here. Give me the floor for about a minute or so. Okay. So I'm watching this show. I'm watching clips on YouTube because no one can watch this show. I don't know how anyone does, right? So I come across this Gunther Aldis, and listen, everything Gunther said about Aldis is everything I have ever thought about Nick Aldis. Okay, you couldn't get it more right. In fact, it's borderline like, wow, that sounds like a shoot to me. Like, I'm sure Aldis was cool with it. I'm sure there was a meeting about it, but Nick Aldis never meant anything in TNA as Magnus. I never thought anything of him. He was a mid-card guy, a good hand, never main event potential, in my opinion, right? And then he became the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And again, what are we talking about the NWA World Heavyweight title? Like, when did that really die? It died long before Shane Douglas threw it down, right? Like he said, rest in peace. You know what I mean? It's just like, so it just, again, was this segment dead on arrival too? Did the fans really get into it that much?
It was dead on arrival, especially even towards the end when Aldis even made the lasting point before they got into the brawl of saying, oh, once SummerSlam comes, you're going to be nothing more than a guy who just became a bitch to his boss. Again, the overuse of the word bitch in WWE. I feel like I have had to hear it about 4 times within the last 2 weeks. It's tiring.
It's exhausting.
Guys, if that's the way that you only think you're going to get a cheap pop
Right.
with the WWE, with the audience. It's
the new cheap
insane.
pop. But wait. Again, we repeat this all the time because we know where it originated from. Okada created this monster, and now everybody is using it.
And the logic behind the statement is, how is he going to get upset to losing to his boss when they explained before they sat down that once the contract is signed, he's no longer management. He's a wrestler. So how does that work as an insult to somebody who's beating everybody on the roster? That just doesn't make any sense.
A lot of it. Oh, real quick. Also, guys, did you hear? Because a lot of this show is dead, right? In this female segment, with all these women going at it, and Paige getting beaten up, Brie getting beaten up, you hear the music of Nikki Bella, and there was a legitimate pop. It was loud.
Yes.
I was like, what? I was like,
she might have got the loudest pop of the entire show.
You hear right when you watch the show in a vacuum, and then you hear that pop. You're like, put a belt on her. Have her beat Roman. I mean, it was just like, what? People care that much about Nikki Bella?
Where were they this past Friday night?
In Oakland.
Oh, good grief.
Oakland.
That's right, yeah.
Oakland. Do you think California has seen those size of melons since Anna Nicole Smith? Of course they're gonna pop. Jesus Christ, Mr.
Where is that reference coming from? Oh my God, that's so dated.
Yes, I know, right? I know, crazy indeed. But I just have to say, like, you think that? Of course, come on. All right. I think Trish Stratus would even get. She'd probably get 3 times the pop. Let's be serious here. SmackDown was dead from the minute the show began. No one cared. Genuinely, no one cared about the show.
But when she hit the ring, they were still cheering. It wasn't the music. There was no sing-along.
Again, melons those big. Yo, come on. Mr. 4-1, you'd probably pull up Vince when he saw Stacy Keibler engineering for her position as SmackDown General Manager. Let's keep it $150.
Okay. All right, real quick. Last thing. Absolutely nobody on this planet was craving a Baron Corbin return.
At all.
I can't imagine anyone, right? It is absolutely mind-blowing to me that with this roster and how loaded it is, right, that this man is actually now going to face Trick Williams at SummerSlam for the title. It is absolutely insane. And furthermore, when he stood up on the ramp at the end of that segment, I do not believe for a moment that those were organic boos. Those were, no. Why are you back, Heat, right? Why are you back? Please go home and never come back, Heat. No chance was that organic. And he was probably praying those boos were organic, but they weren't.
So you're looking at like X-Pac go home Heat.
It is. How is it possible that within 3 weeks of returning, you're already getting a shot at the United States Championship?
How
many matches has he had since being back?
He hasn't had one match since. I don't think he's just interfered.
Before Carmelo Hayes. Racist!
Well, think about this. We know that I believe it's August the 4th. Big Kaz is coming back. That's what we've been seeing the previews on Raw. What are they going to do with him on Raw?
Peeps. Who gives a crap?
Wait, does that mean the midget is coming back too? Are they going to bring him back?
Cass?
Probably.
I don't even know. They haven't announced Enzo. I would think, because everybody knows Cass can't pull without Enzo.
Right.
If you don't have Enzo and Cass together, there is no reaction. What, you're going to tell me he's going to do the whole SAWFD chant on his own?
God.
Who's going to give a rat's ass?
Wait, phenomenal one. And also past a couple of shoot promos that we know we will get from Enzo. And they will probably be good. I can't dispute that. After that, when the honeymoon phase is over, what do you got? What do you got?
Nothing.
Yeah.
And it kills me because the only good thing that come out of SmackDown last night was Finn Balor winning that match to face Sami Zayn for the #1 contendership for the WWE title at SummerSlam. Genuinely, for me, I'm okay with that because I would like to see a Finn run with the WWE title. But although I think we all know that if Cody turns heel, that match against Finn is going to be one of those things where Finn's going to lose.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it gives Finn a sense to be in the main event title picture for a couple of months at that. And I think Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor would be a good produced match with what we know those two can work with. It's just a matter of if Cody turns heel. So for me, that was the only highlight of SmackDown last night. Other than that, the whole show can go to hell. Am I wrong? I don't think I am. Peeps, you better not say that I am, because
I'm gonna go to the grave with the Nikki Bella pop. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's move on.
But from there, we move towards busting open radio, selling the hell out. Here's where I got my issues. Okay? Bro, I have so much angst with hearing this that it is clear to me now that WWE is gatekeeping. And I'm so pissed, because after all of the negative feedback you've been getting from the people who literally gave you money towards putting your PLEs on their network, after fans showing angst towards Club WWE and the ticket prices of certain shows, after people are actually boycotting them to the point where Saturday night's main event couldn't even sell out the damn Garden. SummerSlam isn't past 75K in total for those 2 nights. A show that has been talked about for the last 2 years, when you couldn't even give Minneapolis their freaking WrestleMania. Ratings are dropping. People are looking at Danhausen as the top merchandise seller over your fucking babyface. And you mean to tell me now?
Hey, children, earmuffs, children.
And now you think that the place that you have to go and invest your money so that way you can put eyes towards your product is by making a syndicate that is on internet radio that speaks for all of professional wrestling. Now your mainstay just for the WWE. Because now we're hearing that Busted Open has been literally become WWE Radio, and it's going to go into full effect in the next 2 days. Come Monday, it is officially WWE Radio. Cody's podcast, Stephanie's podcast, 6 Feet Under, WWE PLEs are getting play-by-plays now. I didn't know that this is back in the territory days, and you have freaking...
Hey, don't get Nate started. Nate will go on a tangent right now about
yes,
territory.
I know. I don't even want to go into territories, because this MFer is going to go ahead and go straight back into the freaking 60s and 70s. Please shut your trap. The reality is, I am tired of the WWE going ahead and doing shit like this. Now you're monopolizing internet radio for your own substantial use. When meanwhile, people are already not even going ahead and buying ESPN subscriptions. Think about that. People rather buy VPNs to watch the show on Netflix instead of having to pay $40 a month to watch your abysmal product that gets aired on ESPN too, and it still can't even draw over 5 million. Think about that. WrestleMania drew 3 million internationally on Netflix, not counting the people who use VPNs. So what number are they really drawing internet? You're available in how many different countries? You guys don't make this easier for yourselves. This is why I'm able to crap on you guys. WWE is gatekeeping to the point where I can't even sit there and think straight when it comes down to the WWE. You make me cringe. You make me feel, I feel like crap right now even calling myself a WWE fan. Like, what the hell? I don't even think Vince would make it this crazy. Vince wouldn't make it this possible for you guys to shove it down our throats. Meanwhile, the shit that you're shoving down tastes ass. I digress, Mr.
What stage? What stage of grief is this in right now? Is this right now? Because that sounds like about 4 or 5 or 6 stages of grief, brother.
Come here, Jim.
Yeah. This is what happens. Yes, he's gonna puke.
Okay, so,
I really am.
True
Yes.
story.
Take it away, guys. Take it away.
True story. Yours truly, Mr. 411, who worked at Sirius Satellite Radio for about 18 months as a board operator, also briefly appeared on the Busted Open radio show. I was on one episode because I was in there because they knew I was a big wrestling fan, so they put me in the studio, and they briefly referred to me as the intern. And we were actually talking, and Nate, you're going to love this. We were in commercial, and we're literally talking about the Road Warriors in Memphis in 4, I want to say, against Lawler and
he's getting a hard on right now.
yeah, he's getting
he's salivating. You just must love this, peeps, Nate.
what was it? Lawler and Austin Idol, I believe, was the tag match. And in the match, Road Warrior Hawk got pile driven by Lawler in the first 2 minutes and popped up complete no sell, which the fans had never seen before, right? Getting up from the pile driver. So when we came back from commercial, we briefly talked about that. And because I thought, just as an observer, now I know Dave LaGreca, because I also attended the Connecticut Schools of Broadcasting, where he was a teacher at. So for a while, this guy was trying to help me get a job. Now, mind you, I knew him personally and had his telephone number. So when the show was over, I texted him privately, said, "Hey, Dave, I appreciate you putting me in the show today, but I'm really interested in having a bigger role. Is there a possibility in that?" And the dude ghosted me, which was crazy because I kind of was honest. I said, I think I can contribute a little bit more to this show than what I'm hearing. And because I thought the show sucked. The show was trash. It really was. The hosts were bad. It was boring. And, that's the way the business is.
Yeah.
Indeed. But to sell out this much?
Yeah. And even more so, the integrity of what they will talk about. Because at least they talked about other promotions. They talked about TNA. They talked about AEW. They talked about other promotions and certain matches and wrestlers. Now that we know that this is under the purview of WWE, those days are over. It's very similar to what happened with ESPN, where they would have stories on AEW, they'd have stories on other wrestling. And then once the WWE did their exclusive deal with ESPN, I haven't heard a single AEW story on that network at all. So I think you have an idea of what the experience is going to probably end up being like.
We know. It doesn't go from there to go ahead and go without saying. But you know what? To hell with that. I want to go ahead and get in quickly to AEW Dynamite. We have it was a go home show.
They did a show.
They did a show, right? Insane enough. I don't know.
Keep doing that every Wednesday. When is it going to stop?
When is it going to stop? Indeed. You would think, especially because they have a pay-per-view coming this Sunday, a pay-per-view in which we're not going to go ahead and cover or do any of the, any of these predictions because it doesn't matter. Guys, All-In is next month. You really think people give a rat's ass about what's going to happen at Redemption? Titles are going to stay on whoever's champion. It doesn't matter.
But Phenomenal One, we're going to get like 4 6-star matches. That's for certain.
4 6-star matches. 17 wrestlers are going to get dropped on their heads.
Yes.
And then Dave Meltzer's going to go ahead and have a blast jacking off to it and splurging all of his semen all over his fucking computer that he's going to later type on and say that it was a 7-star match. I don't give a care about that.
Yo, rated all rich today. Rated all rich.
Yes! I'm pissed!
Yes.
Pro wrestling has me pissed off to the point where I feel like I am getting gray hairs as the second goes by. This right now is anarchy. You are never going to see me this pissed off again. I digress.
Nate has gray hair on his pubes.
As if he hasn't had them for the last 300 years. Think about that, Mr. 4-1. Nate, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've been using Beijing for the last 50 of them. Okay, so give me a break, okay? But look.
Okay, wait. Can we lead into the ratings here? Or what are we doing first?
Yes. Ratings, please. Mr. Nate, please tell me you have them on lock.
Yes, I have the ratings. And there you go. And the ratings for the second straight week for AEW, they did over 700,000, but they dropped almost 100,000 from last week. 706,000 with a 0.12 in the demo. NXT did 690 with a 0.09 in the demo. So they definitely increased. Collision did close. Last week NXT did 531,000.
Oh my God! How did they get 160,000 more people? What did they do on the show?
Mike Santana showing up.
Yes.
Finally signed with NXT. You had the Naraku match against Tony D'Angelo. You had Natty tapping out to Jada Parker. It wasn't a bad show. But I was shocked myself when I heard 130 and plus. But
Right.
it's not like they're going up against it. I guess it was just a slow night for television on the over-the-air part for people to
Yes.
listen to the CW.
Which is why it really hurts AEW. I mean, historically, I feel like they have huge drops for go-home shows. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
They really
usually.
have drops for go-home shows.
Yeah. And then usually when they do the show after a pay-per-view, it's usually a huge downgrade from right after the pay-per-view.
No, well, let's be honest. This is a pay-per-view company, right? They're the most successful independent pay-per-view company that we've ever seen. They're not a successful. They don't draw outside of pay-per-view. They don't have good numbers anywhere else on right? Let's be honest, what they are.
And we're definitely never going to see what those HBO Max numbers are going to be. So,
like they will ever drop them. Let's keep it a
of course.
They're the only thing that they only built to on Dynamite was Kevin Knight versus Kenny Omega taking place at Redemption. Who gives a crap when we know that Kevin Knight is not walking out of Redemption as AEW World Champion?
Right.
And having this pay-per-view? Why?
Right. And they're successful attendance-wise. We cannot dispute their pay-per-view attendance numbers, but again,
they're a pay-per-view company, Mr. 411. That's all they'll ever draw on.
Right. No, what I'm saying is this. We will never see physical numbers of what they actually do because we hear all the time 140K, right? That's their base average for each pay-per-view, but we have no truth to that. That's coming from Uncle Dave and Mr. Khan. So we have to take that as gospel. We don't know.
Yeah, and remember when we talked about last week about the TNA ratings or why we didn't get, for 2 straight weeks, there were no ratings to give? Because when you're in the Nielsen ratings, if you don't get in the top 150, they don't report your numbers.
Right.
And for 2 weeks, they didn't. So what ended up happening is last week, they actually did crack into the top 150, and they actually did... last week they did 286,000 with a 0.03. So TNA finally got back into the ratings. Will they stay there? I don't know.
When I buy them, they're gonna go up.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started with TNA. We know that for a fact that how many people are getting released there. I think TNA is preparing for a sell. That's the only logical reason for me. You're releasing all of these wrestlers when you already barely have a roster. Tells me that you're getting ready for a sell. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it eventually will happen. That's my thought process, and I'm keeping it at that. So to hell with TNA. So in all duality, let's just leave it there. Review done, ratings over. Guys, I think it's only fair that we can say that marks the end of 3 Rope Talk. And I think it's only right that we get into our question of the week this week. Coming from Long Island Isaiah, he says, another season of WWE Unreal, and this season is where WWE has finally lost me with the plot. Was it necessary to have fans relive the horrible booking that was John Cena's farewell tour?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, so you guys can speak on it.
Okay.
I'll say this. P.S. Michael Hayes. Get him the hell out of here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Get him the hell out of here. The same man that brought us Jey Uso winning the Rumble is the same individual that gave us the booking towards the Brock Lesnar-John Cena match. Think about that. And it's the same individual who somehow produced Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. He's done. Get him out of here. I'm sorry. Get him out of here. Cut it out. I'm sorry. But in all duality, when it
comes to watching Full House?
Yes. Okay. Can I just be Uncle Joey for 1 second? Jesus. Cut it out. Yes. You know what?
Today?
You know what? Okay, you got a hybrid version of me today. Can you be happy about that? Jeez. But the reality is, Unreal is unwatchable. It's like I understood where individuals were saying, they're releasing too much about the business. We didn't have to go ahead and go this behind the scenes. There's certain things that you don't need to know about the way that they're booking matches or certain storylines. But what this season did was that it just genuinely tried to alter the minds of all of us. It really tried to sit there as some type of mind-effing device to think that we're stupid. I sat there and heard John Cena talking about the moment that he learned that he was facing Gunther, just to be told, oh, great, I get to tap out. And he says, Triple H asks him, wait, are you really going to do that for him? And he's like, yeah, the never give up guy finally gets to give up. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, go figure. That's how they booked the match, huh? And then you go into Bobby Roode sitting there doing all the camera cuts and all these different types of other things. And I'm just like, was this needed? Was this genuinely needed? Hey, like, why? You go through the whole show, you go through all of the other matches that they were booking, and you're just sitting there like, yo, they really make us look like stupid ass people. Because this is coming off of the heels of what the match, mind you, he talks about the WrestleMania match against Cody Rhodes. And he's like, oh, a lot of people think that match sucked? Great, because that's what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Fuck. You wanted the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania, the match that you were supposed to historically win, the 17th championship to pass Ric Flair. You wanted it to suck. And Cena literally looked into the camera and said, yes, as the heel, that's what I was going for.
And then he looked at the camera. Remember when he looked in the camera and he said, yeah, let him watch it? That's exactly what Cena did.
What? You can't make this shit up, yo. You can't make it up. WWE is literally on a run right now. They're on a tear. I can't tell you enough how funny I found that when I watched it. And it's just like, you know what? To hell with it. I don't ever want to watch another episode of Unreal. After that just genuinely killed it for me. So, Mr. 411, I'm sorry if I spoiled that for you.
No, there's a lot on the show.
Yo, look, this is it's comedic, comedic to say the least.
The only part of episode 1 that worked was the section that they did where they talked about CM Punk and AJ and the story that they were building with his wife and then Seth and his wife and building that in. That was, to me, the most compelling part of that first episode. The John Cena part of that episode was almost as insulting as the actual concept of Unreal to begin with. This, I believe, has now become TKO's, their avenue to drive and change the narratives around storylines that did not work. I'm sure there are going to be stories that are shown on Unreal that we're going to be interested in. But the major stuff that happened, including the Seth Rollins thing, because I believe they're going to talk about that in the second episode. I've only seen the first episode, and they did 5, but they've uploaded.
They do.
The narratives that they bring in are almost to change the perception of what happened on the fly. So that it's one of those expressions of, what are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Your eyes are telling you what you're seeing and telling you either how good or how bad it is. They're changing the narrative on this recorded, edited show to tell you how you're supposed to feel about what you just saw. And that part is almost just as insulting as the actual show being around on its own.
Talk about it. But from there, Long Island Isaiah, thank you for that question. We appreciate you for that. What I will say is that if you want to send in a question, send it to us on our Instagram in our DMs at Saturday afternoons_main event, and it will be featured on the next episode of the show if it's that damn good. We move to our final topic here. We'll have a cool 10-minute overrun. This is talking about WWE making New York their watch party epicenter location for WrestleMania 43, taking place in Saudi Arabia, and how can AEW counter? Now, of course, if you heard the reports from last week, WWE WrestleMania 43's watch party is taking place at the theater at Madison Square Garden. But not only that, to help with the lessened WrestleMania weekend for domestic territorial USA fans, you will still get wrestling highlighted by AAA and NXT. NXT Stand and Deliver taking place at, I believe, the theater at MSG, alongside a AAA show that will be taking place also at the theater. I believe it will be taking place Saturday. NXT Stand and Deliver takes place Sunday.
It's going to be called AAA Eternal Glory. That's going to be the name of the AAA show.
You know what I just thought of? That weekend, the whole week rather, is normally where every independent company does shows in the town in which WrestleMania is being held.
Exactly. So, and they're not going to Saudi this year. No.
They're not. Do all the independent shows just stay and go to New York because that's where
now they can do that, right? Or AEW can pull the rug out from WWE, being that this is a AAA and NXT kind of gig. Why would everybody be going to New York? It's not like they're gonna use the whole Garden as the watch party location, like the Knicks did with the NBA playoffs, and just show WrestleMania on closed circuit on the Jumbotron. No, they're not gonna do that. Which I thought could have been their easiest case in point for doing that, because you'll get an influx of 19 to 20,000 fans coming in to watch WrestleMania at the Garden. But no, they're not doing that. They're doing it at a theater that doesn't hold more than what? 10,
I think the theater can hold about maybe 7,000, 6,000, somewhere in the neighborhood.
Seven. So why can't AEW just have a show at maybe a baseball stadium, probably around the area? Maybe they choose to pull out Citi Field underneath their rugs, because they've already hosted many shows at the tennis stadiums that are in flatlands that are around Citi Field, or around Flushing, I should say.
Yeah, they won't be able to do Arthur Ashe because Arthur Ashe is going under renovations next year.
Exactly.
So they're gonna
Citi Field.
Citi Field would be perfect.
Citi Field would be amazing.
Wait. Time out. With the diminishing returns that AEW has been getting and doing stadium shows, as we're going to see with Wembley Cup upcoming, don't get me wrong, they're going to have a significant walk-up. I'm sure they will. But they're not going to approach last time 50,000, and clearly not the 80 or 90, whatever number they did achieve in the first time they were there.
Mm-hmm.
And we know what they last did when they did the Texas outdoor show in the U.S.?
Yes.
What was it, barely 35?
They got about 38.
Did they get
somewhere in the neighborhood? Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see this happening. Maybe they could do a smaller, maybe at a minor league park where they could draw like where
the Cyclones play out in Coney Island. Would be a
go
good
to Brooklyn,
idea.
right? That could be a better deal for them. They're not. Yeah.
But I just can't. You know what? Other than that, why not just go ahead and have a show at the Garden then? Why not?
It won't happen. It won't happen, and I'll tell you why. The WWE knows, because they like to hoard Madison Square Garden. You'll understand where I'm coming from. For many, many years, we had talked about wondering why, even on this show, we talked about why a lot of other shows, when WWE were basically making Madison Square Garden an afterthought, why didn't they go ahead and try to book Madison Square Garden at that time? And if you remember, Cody and the Bucks and Omega booked a show at the Garden before AEW became a thing. And I believe they sold the building out. And looking at it from the sense of, when is AEW going to probably do something like that? I found out about maybe 2-3 weeks ago. The first Dynamite was in talks to be at the Garden. But before management changed, they end up having a change of heart, and the newer management decided, we don't want to go anywhere near that. WWE is what we usually would be booking. So that's what would happen there.
Do you know why that show actually took place at the Garden? Because of Ring of Honor, which was owned by Sinclair, one of the biggest companies that people don't realize how big Sinclair is.
Yes.
Their lawyers are so top notch that MSG didn't even want to bother with it. They were like, okay, fine. They backed off of Sinclair's lawyers, and that's the only reason that show happened.
Yes.
So can't Tony just get the same lawyers? Would it genuinely be that difficult for Tony to do that? I mean, Tony's worth billions. His dad's worth billions. The companies and the things that they have are worth billions. Don't you think that would be cake for him to be able to do? If they just genuinely don't want to meddle with the Garden, okay, then go cross town to the Barclays. Something
that could work, especially if you get the right promotion involved. And this is the thing. The WWE has always had the perception over the last 10, 15 years from the earlier 40, 50, 60 years that they are all a WWE home. That's all the fans care about is the WWE no matter what.
That perception
I would challenge
over
that.
The last 5 years.
Yes.
Changed. Let's keep it going.
Yes. The landscape has changed, and the New York fans know who Tony Khan is. The New York fans know what AEW is. We know that they've gone to Long Island at the UBS Arena where the Islanders play. They did a pay-per-view there. They've done Dynamite over there, and they have a rapport with the Northeast, especially in the New York tri-state area. So they can do a show there. They could go to the Manhattan Center, which is another good venue for wrestling if they were to do it in that sense.
Oh, no, they would want to be in the ballroom, which is
the ballroom
people, 2,500 versus the Manhattan Center that only holds about 1,000.
Okay, yeah, so at the Hammerstein Ballroom would definitely work.
So let's see a show of Supercard of Honor happening at the Hammerstein, or the Manhattan Center. You have it there. Then you have the bigger AEW show taking place at the Barclays. Take out many buildings within the New York area. Yes. You have your weekly shows, and then you use the Barclays as the epicenter for your big pay-per-view.
And then you can cross-promote it with other promotions that may want to do something in the neighborhood. You get on board with, imagine AEW booking the Javits Center and having a show there. Even if it's not just a full show, to book that weekend for just a WrestleFest, like a WrestleCon, something like that.
Can you imagine if they were to also go ahead and cross-promote with, StarCast, and then all as well, they'd go ahead and do something with, what's the other promotion called that usually goes ahead and has wrestlers do signings during WrestleMania weekend? You go ahead and cross-promote with them. Now you have signings. Now you have all these different types of other things happening that is far away from access. That is still somewhat access for the fans. Yes. And guess what? You still have months to prepare. I think it's the best idea for AEW as a whole, because if WWE is not doing a show domestically within the epicenter of the U.S., this is your chance to literally highlight that. This is your chance to show yourself off.
But at the end of the day, WWE can say to Barclays, okay, you booked them. We're done with you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they will do that?
Yeah, why not?
WWE is petty in that sense.
Yeah.
If they so chose to do something like that, which is kind of partly the reason why the Garden only books WWE in the professional wrestling sense. Vince McMahon, for all those years, promoted there. His father promoted there. His grandfather promoted there. And the sense is, as far as the WWE goes, the Garden doesn't want to, quote unquote, bite the hand that feeds them. And I think that at some point they're looking at it, you might get Raw, you might get SmackDown, NXT may do something. We may get another big event. Maybe we do a Hall of Fame ceremony. You never know. And I don't think they want to rock that boat by upsetting the pipeline of WWE in the New York market by having a rival promotion go into Madison Square Garden. Like, imagine if WCW had done a card at Madison Square Garden, what would have happened back then? Vince would have flipped his mind back then. So, TKO in this one, I don't think they would go for competition being at the Garden.
Well, Mr. 4-1, any lasting thoughts or anything to say?
No, we can move on.
Nothing. Okay, well, look, in that sense, ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of today's show.
We forgot one thing, important thing. The news story that came out, well, again, grain of salt, is Nick Khan and Triple H in trouble with these declining numbers?
Yes.
Now, beyond all else, when it comes down to them and these declining numbers, we know for a fact that they've been in trouble, which is why I basically noted to it earlier within the show by saying, yo, look, everything is declining. Ticket sales, ratings, numbers on the show that they usually do weekly, Netflix as well. Of course they're going to be in trouble. But then again, who would they replace Nick Khan and Triple H with? Who?
The Rock.
I digress. I digress.
No, but wait, time out. We talked about this in our group chat. If you gave Paul Heyman creative control with Gabe Sapolsky and a couple other people that they wanted to bring in to run creative, do we really have any faith anymore in the Ed Koskis of the world after what we've seen on Unreal over the last couple of years?
I don't.
Do we believe in that creative team whatsoever? How are they still a team?
How are they still a team is because WWE thinks that they're top notch.
Right.
Just because they ran a couple of TV show syndicates from whatever years that they did doesn't mean that they know how to run a professional wrestling show. Are we forgetting Vince is the same individual that used to go ahead and hire some of these people? If you didn't have any criteria or any knowing in the world of pro wrestling, he kept you away significantly. So what are we doing here?
I mean, we've seen those meetings. It's a joke what goes on in there, what is said in there. I wouldn't want Ed Koskey booking an independent show.
Yeah. It's interesting in the sense that for, I'd say, about 3 years, we talked about ad nauseum that Triple H booking was at various points a breath of fresh air compared to what was that draconian old school booking of Vince McMahon. And when he was left alone to his devices and with others around him, he could craft some pretty decent storylines going forward. The issue has become now, as a lot of people would call it, and because of what TKO has done, they're kind of living high off the hog, as the expression goes, where they got a little bit too popular. They got a lot of success early on. It was ding dong, the witch is dead, Vince is gone, they're celebrating. This is the Triple H era, and everything happened from there. So we had on one side the Triple H era. On the NXT side, with the developmental, you had Shawn Michaels, and they were working in tandem to make sure that storylines were working. And then you had a feeder system from NXT to the main roster. But what we're starting to see now is, one, TKO is now meddling in creative. We've seen plenty of examples of that over the last couple of years. And we now know how detrimental that has become. So do we really know how good or bad on his own Triple H would have been with certain writers, without certain people from TKO implementing certain things, or if left alone to do certain things and we don't have, let's say, injuries and things of that nature changing and altering certain parts of the creative, would it have mattered? Would it have changed any minds? Would it have changed anything going forward?
It wouldn't have, and it obviously isn't. It's never going to change, and I think the only thing WWE looks at is the money portion of it. That's all TKO looks at. Yes. So genuinely, as long as they're going to be making money, which the money will always be there because the fans will always want to buy something new. The fans will always want to get the newest, coolest t-shirt. The fans will always want to go ahead and invest into another OTC, like piece of merch. The money will always be there. They don't care about the ratings. They don't care about any of that because guess what? The billions that they're getting from ESPN alongside the billions that they're getting from any other company that goes ahead and feeds it to them, they're okay. They're fine. Yes. Because WWE's art right now is to finesse the people. Not to
no more creative teams. No more creative teams. Let's bring back the bookers. We need bookers. Let's bring it back.
They will never do that. Obviously, if they're going to go ahead and sign people like Pat McAfee to deals, obviously they know what they're doing with this shit. I don't care anymore. They know where they're going to go, and sooner or later, they're going to hit the can. And when they do, we'll see what happens then. But all in duality, that's my 2 cents. That's how I feel about it. And ladies and gentlemen, that's where we could go ahead and end today's show. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll definitely see you next week when it comes down to the rundown of everything that we got going on.
Hey, phenomenal one. I think instead of digress, we need to have a counter for duality. I think you said that about 9 times.
Oh, why thank you, Mr. 401. How about we go ahead and get that started then? You want to be the person to go ahead and write those ones down? Okay, perfect. Take the pen from Peeps, turn it sideways as well. You know what to do with the rest. Anywho, guys.
Okay.
This is Saturday afternoon's main event. We're at a phenomenal one.
And I, the Peeps Nate.
And I'll return to being Mr. 8% next week. I had a bad experience with alcohol recently, so I wasn't drinking today.
You should have more.
Grief. Good grief. Yes, well, we came.
We saw.
And in the words of the Oracle Paul Heyman,
send us home, you piece of crap.
We conquered.
Peace. Love. Farewell.